This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hi, welcome to It's a Doggy Dog World. I'm your host, Liz Palika, and as always, my friends are with me today, Petra Burke.
Hello.
And Kate Abbott.
How do?
And today we're going to talk about, for lack of a better phrase, the magic of dogs. And if you're listening to this, you already know how wonderful dogs are.
And I should point out, you used the phrase in a conversation, and then I grabbed it and said, that's a podcast.
Yes,
Okay,
you did.
I did.
Yes, you did.
I want my moment in the sun.
Yes, you did.
My gosh. Good girl, Kate.
I'll tell you the story that precipitated it in just a second. But yes, I called Kate and I was telling her about this situation that happened and that I had told the woman I was talking to the magic of dogs. And I'm sure somebody said it before. I won't lay claim to it. Somebody said it, but it just came out of my mouth at that moment. And then, yes, Kate said, that's a podcast.
That's a catchphrase title right there.
So anyway, what caused this discussion and hence tonight's podcast is I was talking to a friend who 4 years ago asked my advice on how to get a dog. She and her then ex-husband, but she and her husband, while they were married, had never had dogs, were never in a situation to have dogs, had served in the military for a period of time in another country where it wasn't feasible to have a dog. And she basically didn't know anything about dogs at all. And yet her 13-year-old daughter was facing some pretty extreme challenges, and she was hoping that a dog could be a companion.
A confidant.
A confidant. Not that the dog could solve all her child's issues, but just that the dog could be there for her. And so I brought her several of my books and said, here, this one will help with this. And once you bring the dog home, this will help with this. And so I gave her a stack of books.
A crash course in dog ownership.
A crash course in dog ownership. Nice. Well, I hadn't seen her for 3.5 years. And when I saw her this past week, we greeted each other, long lost friends. And I said, so how's your dog? And we had just stepped into her office, and she walked around me, closed the door, and got teary. And I'm going to myself, I'm going, oh my God, what happened to the dog? He must have died. He must have, something terrible must have happened.
Sure.
And this brilliant smile, and she went, that dog has been the best thing ever. She said, with your help, with your books, we are probably the most responsible dog owners on the face of the planet. And she said the dog was just wonderful. So, of course, that made me feel wonderful myself. But then we got talking, and I found out that her daughter had continued to go through some major challenges. Personally, for lack of a better term, self-identity, which led to a confrontation with her father. And she basically stood up to her dad and said, I'm going to do this with you or without you. And I'm sitting there going, at 13 and a half, I didn't have that kind of guts. But she continued to battle some issues. Now, 17, is there and is confident and is doing public speaking. And her mom said, and that dog has been there every step of the way. And she said, all the things that dog has been there for, the confidences he's heard, just everything.
All the conversations she had with the dog.
Oh, yeah.
Told the dog and no one else.
I was thinking the other day, which is dangerous, I know. We often use the phrase unconditional love with our dogs.
Yes.
And I was thinking that that's not really right. Because, dogs will on occasion go, oh, no, don't do that. That hurts or whatever, you know. But what they do is just say, yeah, that's a minor thing. I love you so much anyway.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And
true.
what the most of what we build up as huge problems, and this child did have them, but for the rest of us, they're little things, and the dog just goes, "Yeah, don't worry about it."
But
You know,
even
we
with
got
this
love.
child going through some major teenage angst, more than the normal teenage angst, we don't know how many times the dog did go, "But I love you," kiss,
Yeah.
kiss, 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 and
Yep.
make those burdens just a little bit lighter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, and as my friend was telling me all this, and I'm clutching my chest and asking her, "But how are you?" And she says, "I'm good. I've weathered it." And she said, "But that dog was so wonderful." And that's when I just went, the magic of dogs. Because they are.
They are.
They are.
Nothing like helping a mom too by helping her child.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she said that her youngest child has benefited at times too. She said this past fall, her son was one of the ones that came down with the flu,
Oh, yeah.
her youngest son. And
Hey, you guys, this is serious around here right now. People are dying.
yes, and he was very, very sick. He survived, he's fine, but he was one of the kids that got really, really sick. And she said the dog just went, "Whoops, you're the one that needs me now." And just snuggled up, got down to eat and go potty, and snuggled up again. And she said more than once she came in to find her youngest son's arms wrapped around the dog, and the dog just rolled his eyes and said, "Don't bother us."
Okay.
So,
Wow. Nice.
yeah. All right, let's take a break in our show and talk about one of our sponsors, the Canvas people. And that sounds funny. They really aren't people made of canvas walking around, but the name.
Ooh, cool. Pod people made of canvas.
But the name of the company is Canvas People, and what they do is they take your photo of people or pets, and of course we're talking about dogs here, and put it on a canvas of various sizes, a artistic
art.
an artistic
Yeah.
canvas, and that you can hang on your wall. And this is right up my alley because I have one wall in the living room that I can't tell you how many has any pictures are up there, but
I don't know. It's your dog wall.
it's my dog wall.
Dog wall.
Yeah.
It's like a timeline of the dogs that you've owned.
Yes.
You can start
Yes.
at one end of the hall
Yes.
Yep.
and go along, and you've got photos, drawings, paintings,
Yes.
paw prints.
Paw prints. And it started with my first German Shepherd, Watashi, and has gone through the generations. Yeah. Because my dogs are important to me. And my phone, if you looked at my phone, I won't tell you how many photos of my dogs and cats.
I have more photos of my dogs and my horse than I do people.
Yes.
You have pictures of people?
Yeah.
You're weird.
Only dog people.
Yeah. Or my daughter. I mean, really, that's about it.
I like the it's canvas wrapped around, so you
Yes.
can do it frameless or framed.
Right,
In fact, they have
right.
frames on their website too, but you can do it either way, and it still looks good.
And then they also put the photos on a variety of other things.
I liked the ornaments. I mean,
You
there's
like
so
them?
many times that you don't know what to get somebody.
Yep.
And everybody, especially our group,
Everybody has
love-
everything.
Yeah, and then everyone loves their pets.
Yeah.
And we do social media, and so every once in a while you see that one of us will post a picture of one we just like. And that's always a great opportunity to grab that. You can put it on an ornament, and there you go. You got a nice personalized gift. And you can even put little sayings. I know there's like Merry Christmas or just little
Happy
sayings.
Hanukkah or whatever.
Yeah, or the year, anything.
It was years ago that private training student, we'd been through, it was not an easy dog for her to train, and we worked on it. She, without my knowing it, got pictures of my dogs and my business card that I had given her, and had it all put on a mug. I've never used that to drink.
Really?
I have it on my desk, and I just enjoy it. I mean, I
That's-
might throw pins in it, but
That's real cool.
I just really, and to give somebody something like that they can use.
See, and I used the one of mine. One of
You
our
use
students
yours?
did it a few years ago.
Yeah.
And one of my Aussies, Rio, is on there. And it's just a pretty picture of him.
Yeah.
And that's the first mug I grabbed.
Makes you smile when
It
you
does.
use it.
And I use that the most, that mug.
And I'm
Yeah.
going to have to get a pillow. I love their pillows.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you were talking about the pillow, but they also make other things too, plaques.
Plaques, right?
And I like the canvases that were octagon shape that you could put through.
What they call it? Honeycomb.
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 Yeah,
'Cause
that you can put
That was
two
neat.
or three or four together
nest,
in a pattern
nest them.
and
Yeah.
nest them. Yes,
Yeah.
That was really neat.
I love that.
That's a great idea.
That
though.
brings out the artistic
Ah.
side.
That's what she's gonna do with her wall. We can put
No,
more
that's
pictures.
that's another wall.
Oh, that's another wall. Let's keep adding.
Starting a new one. Well, I do it like with the cats because you know the way they snuggle together anyway when they're sleeping. Have
Ooh.
each.
There you
Oh,
go.
see, look at that.
Oh,
Honeycomb of the
A honeycomb of the
pictures.
cats and sleeping.
Yeah.
And they're all snuggled
That
in
would
there.
that actually would be great. I love it. All right. Well, Canvas People has offered a special deal for our listeners. You can get an 11 by 14 Canvas People print free. Did you hear that? Free. It's hard to get anything for free. But if you listen to us, you can get an 11 by 14 Canvas People print free, a $69.99 value, so $70 value. All you have to do is pay the shipping and handling. So to get this, just visit canvaspeople.com, upload your favorite pet photo or other photo, and enter the code DOGGYDOG, all is one word, and you'll get your free print. So you'll go to canvaspeople.com, upload your photo, your favorite photo, follow their directions, and then the special code is DOGGYDOG. All one word, no space. Okay? All right, let's get back to our show. We all have stories of one kind or another, and one of our trainers, Key, who has sat in on a podcast with us before, our most recent one on traveling in an RV with dogs, she shared her son's story and gave us permission to share it with you all.
Yeah, so she had sent this to us. I'm going to read it to everybody. After I read it this morning, though, I was like, oh my God. It's like, wow.
There's a lot of clutching of pearls going on around here.
So she started out, last year they lost a dog, a golden retriever, right? Sophie. It'll be a year here just in a couple weeks that they had lost her. So she started out, the anniversary of Sophie's death is three weeks from tomorrow. And she's been on our mind so much lately. Such good memories, but yet so painful. I knew I had a picture, but I had forgotten, and also a video of her and Luke from the last day. And so here's the story of how that happened. Luke is diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, an autism spectrum disorder that causes him to have extreme anxiety and difficulty with type of social interaction. Luke is militant about avoiding relationships and outside of school chooses to spend a lot of time at home. Even being around family members is difficult for Luke, so his room has become his refuge. In an effort to keep him outside to get some exercise, we made it Luke's job to take our older golden retriever, Sophie, who wasn't able to keep up on faster walks with our younger dog. Luke began doing this job very grudgingly, and only because we gave him no choice. After a couple weeks of taking Sophie on very short walks, we noticed something happening. Luke started becoming more animated. He smiled more. He never passed Sophie in the house without bending down and giving her a pat or a scratch behind the ears. Despite Luke's best efforts to keep his feelings locked up tight, Sophie was slowly and surely causing his tough facade to crack. She was getting to him in ways that no other person had ever. Soon Luke was eagerly taking her on walks, and the walks got longer and longer. It was not uncommon for them to be gone for an hour or two on trails behind our house. We asked him about it, and he told us they would walk a little, sit on a rock for a long time, and just be together. I think that is so cute. That's just awesome.
Well,
Just,
and she
me.
was
Sniffle, sniffle.
I know, right?
and she was old. So she couldn't walk that whole time.
No. So she was 12?
Or 13.
13?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah. He also told me that they always shared a snack and that peanut butter was her favorite. That's so adorable. Luke had quickly grown to love Sophie, and she loved him in return. When Sophie was diagnosed with cancer last year, it became evident that she wouldn't be with us much longer. Luke was devastated. He cried and grieved like we never would have imagined was possible. The day Sophie died, Luke brought her a spoonful of peanut butter, and she gratefully mustered the energy to eat. He was able to smile and say goodbye to the sweet girl who managed to wiggle her way into his heart.
There will be a pause here for nose blowing.
Now, that's the magic of dogs.
Yeah, and I thought to the very end to get the peanut butter and share it together one more time.
Yeah. Now, Luke is 19 this year, I believe, so he was 17 or 18 when that happened. Yeah, 17, 18-year-old teenage boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is tough age for anybody.
Right.
But in addition to spectrum issues.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will say, having met Luke myself, he came up to see one of my litters of foster kittens. And the animals love him. Yeah. My oldest dog, Bones, glued himself to Luke immediately. I mean, Luke had no more than walked in the door than Bones was glued to him. And the kittens, one of the little kittens, when he sat down on the floor, just left off playing, stopped, climbed up onto his shoulder and snuggled up on his neck. And Luke has the biggest, brightest smile. Oh, it was wonderful. And I just sat there. I wasn't going to move because I didn't want to break the spell. It was just so wonderful. Cool. So Luke is a cool kid. He's got his issues. We all have our own issues.
So
but
that's a story for chicken soup for the liver soul.
Yep. Oh yes,
that would be that would be beautiful.
Yep.
There are the big stories. Then there are the thousands of little ones. Well, I did a private training the other day. The gentleman is living on his own and he's 96.
Oh, wow.
Good for him.
And he wanted a dog, so he adopted a dog, and she's about, I think, 7 or 8 years old.
Nice.
So, they can go for walks. She's happy. She's a little schnauzer. And it's such a nice match. I mean, he gives her, they have a routine, which we know how much dogs love routines. They go for walks. She's happy to walk along. He does use either a cane or a walker.
But he's 96 and he's going for dog walks.
And it gets him up and out of the house.
Good for him.
Do you remember that gentleman that came to class? I don't remember anything else about him except that I've never had a dog before in my life. Okay, why'd you get... I had a heart attack. My surgeon said, as part of my prescription, go get a dog. So I'm here. Now what do I do? And they started going on walks.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he was besotted with that little, she was a Sheltie.
Yes.
They just, and he was right. I mean, it not just moving the legs, going for a walk. It helped heal his heart, period.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's thousands of these little stories.
And, before we started recording this podcast, we were talking about when we were kids. Mine, when I was a kid, was a cat. My dad was in the military and we were moving a lot, and he didn't want to either drag a dog along too, besides dragging 3 kids along, or finding rental places in that era that would allow a dog. So I had a cat, and Bootsy lived to be 19, but she was my cat. And before spay and neuter, had her kittens in my closet every summer. But having trouble with my brother, we're fire and ice.
Yeah, that's a good statement. Yeah.
I could go to my room, close the door, and Bootsy heard all kinds of stories from a distraught child.
And she was sympathetic.
She was always there. She would knead and purr and let me squish her. And Bootsy was my childhood companion.
At least you had a brother. No, you didn't. That's not the right one.
Considering
the way the two of you are, no.
I would gladly have shared.
But as an only child.
Yes.
And moving a lot with the military family. My dog was my buddy. Go to a new place, hitch up the dog, and we go for walks.
Yeah.
And I am absurdly proud of the fact that my buddy was a Pekingese who could run alongside my bicycle for a long time.
The Pekingese then were not the Pekingese of today.
Exactly. Yeah. He had a beautiful coat. People would stop and, what is he? They weren't as well known then and all the above. He had a beautiful coat, but he could run and do things. And so he'd run alongside my bike, or I'd sometimes plop him in the basket on the front. But we did everything. We explored new places together. And for an only kid, so he was a great opening
Icebreaker.
Thank you. You know, what kind of dog is that? He's cool. And they come all over and pet, and my dog would preen, and I got to meet kids. So he helped me through a lot of moves.
Yeah.
A lot of moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all had our dog. I had Shasta. I wasn't young, was an adult, but she helped me through 3 marriages and 3 divorces.
Yes, she did. And when we finally told
life.
you no more, Shasta was there going, that's it. That's it.
No more,
Look
Mom.
at him, but don't touch.
You told Petra no more men, and Shasta gave a huge sigh of relief.
Yes. Yes.
But we did say you could have boy toys, but just no long term. That was it.
Play with them, just don't bring them home.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was, I mean, we all had those dogs that I swear is every time I would just think it, she would do it.
Yeah.
You know, I would just like think, sit. She'd just sit. She helped raise all other dogs.
She helped raise
It was-
Kayla.
Yeah, she helped raise my daughter.
Yeah.
She helped teach my daughter how to walk.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the day Kayla wanted to get up and walk. She just grabbed onto Shasta's collar. Shasta stood there. Kayla got up. Shasta took a step. Kayla took a step. And before I knew it, they were walking.
See, I don't know how you got my child, because that's how I learned to walk.
I'm not sure how that happened either.
My folks had a German Shepherd, and that's the one that broke my dad's heart when he couldn't bring him when we got orders. Butch. And I learned to walk hanging on to Butch's collar. They have pictures of me. This cute little blonde hanging off this silver sable German Shepherd who was very patient, just standing there.
Yeah.
So as much as we talk about kids and dogs these days, I learned to walk with a dog. It was a cage hound, but still.
Yeah.
But it was, in all 3 of ours, we're talking about, it was the dog's choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing forced. No.
No.
Yeah, they chose to come forward. In fact,
Yeah.
when I was 4.5, I ran away to join the circus. And most of the neighborhood was in our backyard playing. So my mother didn't hear any difference in the screams and yells and carrying on until she went outside with the Kool-Aid or whatever. And I wasn't one of the kids still running around the backyard.
Oops.
And it was like, well, where did she go? Well, she went to the circus. Well, nobody knew where it was because there was no circus in town. But a neighbor came along. It was back in Massachusetts. It was 2 lanes each direction with big grassy areas to each side of the road. Mm-hmm. And I was walking along the shoulder of this busy road.
Oh my God. At 4 years old.
And when a car would come along in the lane closest to me, apparently, according to my neighbor, the quiche-hound would knock me off the road onto my bottom. And then come over and stand next to me, and I'd use his collar to get back up, shake my finger at him, and we would toddle on down the road some more. But the dog was keeping me safe. So when the neighbor pulled over and opened the door and said, "Get in here," at first Suso, that was his name, she said, was guarding me. "Who are you? You can't have this child." But then when recognized the neighbor, went, "Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, you get in the car. Come on, here we go." And the dog herded me in, took me home. Actually, to tell you the truth of the story, that's when my mother found out I was gone. When the neighbor brought me home. And that's when they asked the kids in the backyard, "Why didn't you say anything?" And they said, "Well, she said she was going to the circus." Anyway.
They all thought that was cool. We're going to come see you at the circus, Kate. We'll see you soon.
When a dog chooses to be a companion to a child, it's magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the cat.
But you shouldn't force them.
No. All right, let's take a break in our talk to talk about one of our sponsors. Bissell, as in the carpet shampooer company, Bissell, sent us one of their new bark bath machines, dog washing system. And it's pretty neat. It reminds me of the little green machine that cleans the carpet.
Yes, which I loved. I don't know why I didn't replace it when it broke, but I had it for a long time, and it was great for spot cleaning. No pun intended. Okay, never mind. Plus, I do love a good name, and Bark Bath is a good name.
Bark back.
Well, and Bissell's a reputable name if you
Bissell's
go
a
along
reputable
that line too.
True.
The bark bath system the machine looks kind of like the little green machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a long hose, which is wonderful to reach your dog, and especially to move around your dog. They say that you can use it in any room of the house. I have to admit I've only used it on the tile.
Yeah.
But most of my house is tiled, so that's why I've only used it on the tile. But this year we've had a lot of rain the last couple months, and everything is muddy.
Especially here. We're just not used to it.
California does everything to extreme, so we go
Right?
from drought of 7 years to pouring water, rain, and mudslides.
So which then means our dogs who are the ones who like to play in mud puddles.
Oh, play is not even it. Roll around,
Yeah,
knock each
right?
other into it.
Have a wonderful time. But
Like
the little
the little kids with the yellow boots who stomp in the puddles,
Yeah.
except they don't have any boots on.
and then they want to come in the house when they're all done.
Yeah,
And
right.
you look at them like, I don't think so. But the little bark bath here comes in handy for that.
It is a spot cleaner.
There you go.
You can spot clean on your spot.
Exactly.
Oh, bad.
But it's
Bad.
handy because one container you can fill up with the water and no rinse shampoo,
Right?
Right.
and the other one is where it sucks it back up and
Easy to dump.
easy to dump.
Yeah. And you can use warm water. So they're out there stomping around in a little cool. Because, I mean, the weather is a little cool for us.
Yeah, and if they're out there playing with the cold water, then they can just use cold water to have a bath in.
Oh, darn it.
So there.
So,
Yeah, like you put cold water in
I
it to wash
know.
Quill.
uh-huh.
She has a terrier who hates the cold.
Okay, but it sounded like I was going to hold him to it.
Right.
But yeah, it's nice to be able to get all that ick and muck and off. Oh, we have a pond on our dog training field.
Yes.
It's a good-sized pond.
It's a natural pond. It's a good size, and in its deepest, it's maybe 6 feet deep. And
Well, he dug it out, so there's a good 12-foot section.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And right now it's because it's spring, it's covered with pollen and duckweed, and it's don't picture a clear blue
Pond.
shimmery
It ain't a
pond.
swimming pool. It
This-
is not a swimming pool.
No.
It's got duck poop in it.
And turtles.
And
turtles.
Yeah.
And those
And
little
scum.
mosquito fish.
Scum.
Scum.
Little green plants.
It's a natural pond.
So when a teenage dog of about, what is he?
11
pounds?
months.
Yeah.
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 With, good coat
Medium
hair.
Medium coat.
Goes, oops, I slipped. Oops.
The muck.
Into the mud. It could have been a genuine slip. But anyway, he came out disgusting. And I
let's
know
just
that.
say it's a real good thing we had the bark bath here.
And I know how disgusting it was because of the times that Walter definitely went in on his own choosing.
Yes,
Yeah.
Walter loved to go in.
Yes, he did.
he didn't slip.
And when he would
And
go in,
you wish you had a bark bath then.
yes, because I'd have to take
He
him
was
out
nasty.
there, but I wasn't going to bring him inside.
Nope.
And I'd have to take him out there and use the hose and
Cold.
in the mud. I mean, standing in the mud, trying to clean the pond scum off of him.
Yeah.
And, another selling point of this machine for us Californians who often face drought is it only requires 48 ounces of water.
Yeah.
Whereas the bath under the hose for a medium-sized dog, it's a whole lot more than that.
It was just,
And
Wha-
how many of us take a bath with our dog when we're bathing our dogs?
yeah.
I mean,
I-
I'm like,
I
I'm soaking
don't.
wet. I'm soaking wet.
My dogs, before the bark bath, my dogs got bathed on the side yard under the hose.
With the hose, and I'm half of wet, and they're wet, and we're just, yeah.
if
it's a
I'm
hot
home,
mess.
they're in the shower with me. But when they would go in the pond, then I have to do it outside. And it was miserable.
Yeah.
And to use the hose out there and then towel and towel and towel and towel.
Yes.
Yes.
And
They
with
love
Walter's
towels.
cockapoo poodle coat,
Yeah.
there was not enough towels. But with the bark bath,
You
it
suck
sucked
it off.
oh, it was so much easier to clean her dog. And I just said, it's
And
not
you
fair.
don't get wet.
I told her it wasn't fair. That she needed to go through at least once what I had to go through.
Yeah. Here's the hose.
Before the bark bath was available,
Get all
the,
nasty.
All right. Well, all fun aside, you can visit bissell.com/doggydog to learn more about the bark bath. If you decide to get one, which I hope you do, use the coupon code DOGGYDOG, and you'll receive 2 bottles of free no-rinse shampoo with your order. Now, a word about that shampoo. It smells great.
I do like that.
It smells really good.
It smells great. I don't remember what... Mulberry?
Mulberry. I know, it just smells good. Made me hungry.
Yeah.
It's spring fresh.
It smells like pie out of the oven.
Whoa.
So anyway,
It smells good.
that's Bissell, BISSELL.com/doggydog.
No space.
No space, and use the coupon code DOGGYDOG. All right? That's it.
Sit, stay. It's a doggy dog world. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
You know that feeling when you go to clean the litter box and it's a complete disaster? Yeah, we've got you covered. Introducing World's Best Cat Litter Zero Mess, the advanced litter that gives you 2 times better clumping and more odor control with less litter. Zero Mess combines the concentrated power of corn with super absorbent plant fibers. Translation, scoop once and you're done. Find it at a pet store near you and save $2. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com. We know you're begging for more. So back to It's a Doggy Dog World with your fetching hosts, Liz Palika, and this week's co-hosts, Kate Abbott and Petra Burke.
Back to our show. I think it's us adults too, because, you know, yes, there's relationships, there's family, but the dog is the one who's always there. Always there.
When I went to college, my first year, you had to live in the dorms.
Right.
That was the first time in my life without a dog.
Yeah.
I about lost my mind.
Yeah.
The hamster was really, really cute, and I did meet friends with him, putting him in his little hamster ball and letting him roll around with my room number on it. It was a way to meet people. They'd bring him back. But it wasn't the same.
No. No.
So I think I lasted 3, maybe 4 months before I found a stray. And I made sure he was a stray. I checked all the look. And sneaking him in and out of the dorm, I had so much help. And it was help that I lived on my room was on the first floor and I could go through the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that dog learned to never bark.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I made it through the first
Well,
year.
I met Paul via dogs.
See?
I had my military working dog and had him out training one day. And this German Shepherd goes zooming past us, followed by this young Marine running as hard as he could. But they were heading towards the flight line on Miramar.
Oh, God.
And my thought to myself...
For those of you, let me back up here. Flight line means that's where planes land and take off.
The jet fighter planes.
Yeah, this is not a good place for a
Yeah.
German Shepherd to be running. Okay.
And my thought to myself and to Mac, my working dog, was, he's getting in trouble. And the next time I was out training Mac, I think it was the next day, here comes this same young Marine going, will you help me train my dog? Yep.
And of course, we've all had therapy dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
For the children, for the sick, for whatever. They bring a little magic with them. Every time we go out, wherever we go, wherever place we're visiting.
Yep.
You get together with a bunch of people who do therapy dog work or therapy cat work.
Yeah. 2 of my cats made it as therapy cats.
And you will just hear the magic of dogs and cats over and over in hundreds of thousands of ways.
Bones right now is visiting a daycare for kids in the foster care system. And Riker visited there for several years before Bones did, before Riker had to retire and passed away. And as I said earlier in this podcast, I wasn't a mother, never had any. I'm a 4-footed fuzzy creature's adopted mother. I don't have those instincts. So when we go visit kids, it's because this is the best thing for Bones. This is the choice that Bones made, or Riker before
You tried
him.
him with the nursing homes.
Oh, yeah. He got his 10 hours before certification in the nursing homes, and he was fine. but he didn't have the joy that I knew dogs could have in therapy dog work.
Right.
He didn't have that joy. When I walk into this daycare center, those are his kids.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned, those are his kids. And the director usually has a list of kids that she wants Bones to visit on that day. But of course, we often get detoured.
Sorry. The story of the young girl whose mother was a drug user and she was...
Oh, Grace.
Okay, get out the Kleenex. Get out the hankies.
Grace's mother was an alcoholic and a drug user. So Grace was born blind and deaf. When we first met her at the daycare, she'd been with her foster parents just a short period of time, was 3 or 4 years old. I'm not good at kids' ages, so I guess 3 or 4. She was very young. This daycare gives the foster parents some respite time so they can go run errands, do the things they need to do, and the kids are watched. When we showed up that day, Grace had only been at the daycare a couple days, and she didn't want to leave the chair she was sitting in. The assumption was, the director assumed, was that if she stayed in that chair, her foster parents would find her. If she got out of the chair, she'd be lost.
She wasn't verbal.
Laughing, giggling, but not words, no.
Gotcha.
So the director was hoping that Bones would help her relax enough that they could take her to the bathroom without panic, that she could leave the chair. So when we went in there, I'm telling the director, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to handle this at all. So she said, just let's bring Bones up there and see what happens. So I stood Bones in front of Grace's knees so that he was leaning up against her knees, and I held his head because I didn't want him to lick her, and he gives tiny little bitty kisses. It's not big slurps, but I still didn't want him to startle her. And then the director took Grace's hand and just put it on his coat. And initially she pulled back, but then she reached out and touched him again, and then touched him with the other hand and was rubbing her fingers through his coat. And she smiled, and when she smiled, I forgot about holding Bones' head.
Oh, no.
And he gave her several kisses in the ear, very light little butterfly kisses in the ear, like he likes to do. And she giggled and laughed and laughed and laughed. And within about 20 minutes, she had hold of his collar, and they were outside walking around on the playground.
See, another dog teaching someone how to walk.
Yeah.
And of course, the director and I are both standing in the playground off to the side, and we're both going, my allergies are bothering me. Sniff, sniff, snort, snort.
Pollen count is high today.
I'm not crying. You're crying. It's my allergies. And we were able to visit with her for 6 or 8 months, and her foster parents adopted her, which just was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But there's all kinds of kids that he sees that it's not always that drastic a difference. But
even a small miracle is still a miracle.
Yes, yes, yeah. And it's the same with dogs, the therapy dogs visiting the elderly too. I mean, or someone that's in a hospital. They may be, like you say, they may be little miracles, but it's still a bit of magic.
It's important for that person that day.
Yes, it is.
Well, you did hospice work with...
Bashir did hospice work. Bashir visited senior centers and nursing homes for a number of years. But as he got a little bit older, I think he got a little burned out. And then when my mother-in-law was in assisted living and then hospice, she wasn't a huge dog lover. She had a Boston Terrier that was hers, but she only had the one dog that I know of in her adult life. But when I went up to see her one day, I said, do you want me to bring one of my therapy boys up here, one of the therapy dogs? And she was like, yes, I'd love to see one of the dogs. Even if nothing else, a break in the routine. Yeah. Because she was in assisted living and hospice for quite a while. And much to her dismay, she was a very independent woman, and she did not care for that at all. So I brought Bashir up, not knowing how it would go. And he made her laugh, and he was silly and did tricks. And this is a very dignified dog, mind you, but had a great time. And then the staff visited with him, and we got stopped several times on the way in and out. So I let the hospice that she was under the care of, I let them know that he was available for hospice visits, and we did a number of them for the next couple years. And he loved the hospice work, loved it.
I don't think I would have survived home caring for my mother if I hadn't have had dogs with me. My mother always had dogs and loved them, but she had lost her last terrier.
Uh-huh.
So when I moved in to take care of her, I took 2 dogs with me, and it was great. I mean, they'd get on each side of her on the couch and give her something to pet and keep her warm. And she had to have a feeding tube in her stomach and the machine. And there were times when I would crash, pass out, tired. And if the machine got clogged, it would make an alarm. And I'd sleep through it, except the dogs woke me up. If Mom got out of bed and started wandering around, they'd wake me up and let me know. It was really another wonderful, I want to say set of hands. What do I want to say? They helped.
Support.
They were support system for me.
Yeah.
And keeping me sane, too.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, sniff, 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 sniff.
It's the onions, yeah.
As we all know, dogs are magical. They may make a mess. They may be a pain in the you-know-what sometimes, but overall, they're there for us, and that's the important thing.
Exactly.
So that's it for this time. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Having a rough day? Longing for the dog days of summer? Think your fun furry friend lives a dog's life? Well, find out everything you're begging to know as Pet Life Radio presents It's a Doggy Dog World with pet expert and award-winning author Liz Palaika. Every dog has his day, and you'll find out how to make your dog's day fun and rewarding every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.